Good afternoon. Gonna get this hand out of the way. This is a king queen offsuit hand. Under the gun limps, he's playing 60% of hands. But I only have 20 hands on him. I'm gonna assume he's raising. I'll say I kind of have a range here. I'm gonna assume he's raising like nines plus, ace jack plus, king queen, suited ace queen off plus. And then limping in the rest of these along with some other like weak hands, maybe like king 10, queen 10, maybe like suited kings, much wider range than what he's ultimately going to call with, because it folds to me and I open raise. I'm just going to make my button open raising range. Maybe I don't think I need to be as tight on the button since I have position. So I could take this range and I think I could open raise it. I do think there can be some arguments for calling or for limping behind in this place, because if I raise, it could possibly be interpreted as a isolation raise, which then prompts one of these players to play back at me. But right now, I don't think any of these players are going to. We have a tight player here, more on the tight passive player. And then we have a loose, somewhat aggressive, definitely raises, but his 3-bet is pretty small, 4 out of 118. So, and his 3-bet range, is ace queen suited, ace 9 suited seem to be the weakest. So I don't think I have to worry about ISO or getting 3-bet. So I raise and villain 3 calls, and this leads me to his range, which I think could be something like this. Some of these smaller pocket pairs, I think, probably call. Your suited connectors probably call. Your suited aces probably call. And we take it to a flop of jack 8 9. He checks. I think overall, this is possibly a somewhat neutral. I think our equities are going to be close on this board. So just based on the ranges, so we can kind of check it. It's a jack of hearts, 8 and 7 of diamonds, 56-43. So I mean, I do have over pairs, but let's see here. Yep, do have some over pairs, but in terms of my overall range, I have a lot more hands in my range that are going to miss this flop, and that kind of drives it down to 43%. So it's on me. I went ahead and c-bet half pot. I do have overs. I've got queen of diamond. I've got backdoor straight draws, and he calls. I think at this point, when he calls, we're looking at probably all of his pairs, probably the middle pair, maybe these bottom pairs as well. I think his flush draw calls, his gut shots draw. He seems loose, so he's probably going to be if he connects it with any piece of this board, he's probably calling. Turns a 10, which improves my range. Now a 9 is a straight. He checks, and I think this is where I might have messed up. I should have probably just checked behind with my straight, or with my straight draw. I think if this was a diamond, I might be able to bet. Fire this turn bet. In any case, I did bet half pot, and villain calls, and then the river blanks out for me. So it's a 10 pair on the board. Villain checks, and I check behind. And right now we're running the sand because I'm curious, did I miss a third barrel here? Or maybe I should have slowed down on the turn and just check the turn, and then probably fold the river when he makes that obvious bet. So let's check this out. Got it run. Villain's going to be checking. I do think he's going to check all his hands to me. We are betting 1% of the time. So on this board, it looks like we are checking 99% of the time. And the question is, why is that? Maybe because we are guarding against villain raising us. So this was kind of unexpected. Let's get our 10 of clubs. I think I would have been expecting betting. So like king queen with the king of diamonds does have some bets here. I think versus GTO this is correct, but against a normal player, probably not. I'd like to. We're gonna have to adjust these and kind of set it up so he doesn't do any check raising. He would only be doing calling or folding. But in the meantime, let's see how we're supposed to play GTO. So let's say we check, and then villain has the opportunity of betting or checking. So let's start. If he's passive and he checks, now what do we do? With king queen, we are going to be betting somewhat. Looks like we are betting with king of diamonds. We're definitely betting more with when we don't have the diamonds. Gives villain more opportunity to have the diamond draw. We're betting straight. We're betting three of a kind, top pair, over pair. Top pair, though, looks like we are still just going to check behind. Okay. Yeah, 10 of spades. We'll get that ready. So he checks, and then some of us bet. Let's say we bet and villain calls, and he checks to us. Then with like our king queen, it does look like, you know, with our diamonds we bet, king of diamonds we bet, but queen of diamonds we check. So it would go check check on the turn. He checks, we bet, he calls. On the when he checks a turn, we just go ahead and check behind with king queen. And I'm sure that that's to avoid betting too much, because we are betting with some of our missed gut shots. Ace 10, ace 9, those are definitely showdown hands, because he may call with like ace little just to bluff catch, or may call with a king to bluff catch. Our ace beats that hand. We're betting with straights and full houses and three of a kinds. I'm sorry, yeah, ace 10 has three of a kind, king 10. The 9 gives us the straight. Over pairs below, looks like we are checking. All right, so let's say we bet, he calls, and then he bets into us, which he probably doesn't do. So we keyed it in. We'd have to go rebuild the tree. So let's say we bet and he raises. Actually, let's do it this way. We bet, he calls. He checks. We bet and he raises. Then it looks like we're only calling with full houses. Or actually, we're getting all in with full houses. The 9s we're calling. You know, ace 10, king 10. We're sometimes calling, sometimes raising. But king queen, we just go ahead and fold. Go back here. What happens if he raises us here? My guess is we were going to be folding some of our draws. I think it's kind of interesting. We're folding queens, kings, and aces. I think that's probably okay. He's representing a pretty strong hand here with this raise. So why call when we don't really have any outs? We're basically drawing to well, we're not even drawing to a full house. You know, we're drawing to trips that would still be behind to that 9. So at least the hands that we're calling would be our straights, or some of our three of a kinds that already made three of a kinds, or two pairs that have the potential to get to the boat, as well as those cards that still can improve to a straight or a flush. All right, let's say villain leads into us. What do we do here? Looks like we are calling, and I probably would have called. I don't think I would have raised. Looks like we're raising with the straight. Looks like we're sometimes raising with jacks and jack 10 and jack 9 and so forth. But it looks like we're calling with most of our range here. So we call, and then if he leads into us again, we're dumping all the hands that we miss, all of our draws that we miss. We're calling three of a kind, straights, plus, you know, we're raising full houses. We're calling weak pair, top pair, and so forth. Would we raise? No, we wouldn't raise. Our king queen folds. So overall, we're just kind of playing a little bit passively with our king queen, and I think I'll probably be okay with that. I have to learn this. I guess the reason we're looking at that is to guard against those check raises. So let's go ahead and modify this. We're going to get rid of all of those check raises. He's not going to check raises with the straights. He's not going to check raise us with sets. Two pair, he doesn't check raise us. Middle pair, he doesn't check raise us. None of the flush draws check raise. Open-ended straight draws check raise. Yep. None of the gut shots are going to raise. We'll say the gut shots call. Overcards. We're going to say the overcards call. 2-card backdoor flush draws, we're going to say those are folds. And then we're going to have to go back and fix. So no made hand. And ace high, so we're going to get those fixed. All right, so middle pair's calling. Top pair's calling. There we go, 2 pair. Straight's calling. There we go. Weak pair's calling. So basically any pair is going to call along with the flush draws and the open-ended straight draws. And since he's so passive, we'll say the gut shots. That's better. All right, so let us run this solver and see how it changes our plan. I'll be back. All right, we are back. So now once we've changed his plays, so that it's really just a call or a fold, our bets now become 30% bets, 70% checks. King Queen still is a check. King Queen diamonds, King Queen hearts is a bet. So we go back to making our C bet when we have some sort of draws along with us. So overcards are fine, but we're going to need diamond or that heart draw to fall back on if we get called. It's going to give us more opportunity to fire that second barrel. So let's say we check like we did. If villain checks again, we're back to, mostly checking. We can sometimes check with our diamonds if we check and he calls. We're looking at 10 of spades. Then he checks and we're going to just basically check behind, I believe. Yep, sometimes we can fire again. Hope he calls. I'm sorry, hope he folds. He's going to fold 35%, but I don't know. So we did see showdown, so let's see what he had, see if we need to change it. So he called with ace king and had us. How does his play look? So we bet. Well, I don't have ace king in the starting range, so that was interesting. And we did add a note, so limp call under the gun with ace king off, called flop and turn on a jack 8 7 10. So he is definitely capable of calling with the over pairs, or over cards. And then when he checked again and we bet, he's still, we don't have any overcards though for that. So did we put overcards on here? Well, we know. So let's fix this. If he called with ace king, maybe he would only raise with kings and aces. So let's rebuild the tree and let's run the solver and we'll be back. All right, so when I ran the solver, I had to make some changes. So again, once he checks to us, GTO play versus GTO opponent says to check basically 100%. I think that was like 5% total. And you're betting, some things that have, draws like diamond draws, straight draws, some combo, maybe like, queen 10 or queen 10 of diamonds where you got your gut shot and your diamond draw. once I went in and changed what he was going to call, so I basically said he's going to call anything that he connected, including his ace high hands. I do have him folding a king queen, unless he's got a draw. So once I did that, then the bet becomes 39%. Still, with our king queen, we should be checking behind, because again, I kind of think with this king queen offsuit, we don't really have a good backdoor. We don't have any backdoor draws. Not to say that we only have the diamond. We can't possibly have like a heart or anything else. So we bet, he calls, he checks to us, and now we would be betting 10%. So if we bet again, which is what he did, he is supposed to be calling somewhat. He called with ace king off. So I think what we're going to have to do again is modify this and say he didn't raise, and I don't know if he would. I think so. Let's go ahead and say if we bet he's going to raise his straight, he's going to raise possibly 3 of a kind. 2 pair calls, over pair calls, top pair calls. No chance that he's raising. Pocket pair below top pair calls. He's being stubborn. Middle pair calls. He doesn't believe we have a hand. Weak pair calls, same thing. Ace high calls, probably all of them. And we can kind of be a little bit more selective and just say only ace king, ace queen calls. But he's got an ace here. And maybe we do that. Maybe we say he calls ace 9, ace 10, ace queen, ace king, but ace 6 through ace 3 folds. We'll do that. No made hand. What are we doing here? We're going to be folding some of those. However, we're calling all of our flush draws. So that'll fix the no made hands. We are calling our flopped flush draws or turned flush draws. Oh, hold on. This was 10 of clubs. We're going to have to fix this. Sorry. It is a 10 of clubs. Yep, 10 of clubs. He checks. So we are betting 39%. Let's get this again. I do think his straight's going to be raising. So actually, let's do this. Calling on the flush draw. Open-ended straight draw calls. Gut shot. We'll say he calls. No flush draw. Ace hand, ace high. We're going to say he folds all of those. And then we'll have to fix his flush draws. All right. Middle pair calls. He doesn't believe us. Top pair calls. Let's say his straight, he raises us. I think that's realistic. The weak pairs. Oops. Yeah, we got those raised. All right, let's run the solver. We'll be back. All right, things have changed. So we went from 39 to 41%. King Queen is still our check. We jumped up now to 58% bet. We are now just basically we're betting a lot of our hands. Ace Queen, Ace King. Well, the diamonds and the hearts, we have those. Our Ace King offs are mostly betting Ace Queen off. Are actually checking, mostly checking Ace Jack, so top pair. So we're being aggressive with our hands. Looks like, top pair, middle pair, we're betting. Middle pair and weak pair, we're going to start leaning more towards checking. because now villain starts to pick up a lot of those hands. He's not going to be folding the hands that we expect him to fold when we have those weak pair, middle pair. So we bet he calls 10 of spades, and then he checks to us. And at that point, then it looks like all of our misdraws, no made hands, the kings looking like they're betting, the king queen's betting. But I think that was king queen suited. So overall, this play, I thought I was playing it okay with my c-bet. I guess not. I have to pay a little bit more attention, focus a little bit more on what I can do on that turn. With my hand, there's not going to be many turn cards that really improve me at all. So it is just purely broad bluff. Now, this isn't to say I always check there, because I think when you have a player like this, fold to c-bet 100%. Now he doesn't have a whole lot of hands, but I think you could do it. Here's a better one: 608 hands. His fold to c-bet's over 60%. 67% when he's out of position, 67% when he's in position. This guy, you can almost c-bet 100% of your range because he's going to be overfolding. So that would be more of an exploitable play. Whereas this guy, who seems to be passive and seems to be calling very loose, we're going to have to really slow down and really be selective on the hands that we c-bet. Specifically, those hands that are either pair right now and have value now, or have the potential to increase their value with the correct turn cards. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you did, look tomorrow for another.